My sister's husband lost his mind when I revealed I was in a romantic relationship with someone else. This is just a vent post, but any advice would be appreciated. Hello everyone, I'm Ashley, 17F. My sister, who I'll call Jess, 25F, has been married for 2 years to her husband, Jake, 34M. They got together when she was just starting college and have been together ever since. As far as I know, they've never had any problems, and whenever they came around to visit, they seemed like the model relationship. My parents never really made the best choices in life, and because of this, my sister basically raised me herself. I'm so grateful to her for this, and I know she had to make so many sacrifices to do so. When she was in college, I'd call her at least 3 times a week just to check in and see how she was doing. In these conversations, she'd talk about school, work, her plans, and then she'd talk about Jake. She described him so wonderfully that it literally upped my own standards for love. For example, she'd gush about all the flowers he got her, the beautiful dates they went on, and how he treated her so amazingly. Growing up with parents who should have gotten divorced a long time ago, I didn't have a guide for what a healthy relationship should look like. So, hearing about Jess and Jake's relationship became my blueprint. I became quite close with both of them. It had always been just me and my sister growing up, so when she introduced me to Jake, it felt like I finally had an older brother. Eventually, Jess and Jake moved in together, got engaged, and now they're married. My parents ended up kicking me out because I refused to pay them rent. I have a job at a luxury horse ranch, and there are a few perks. They let you use their horses to practice, offer free lessons with a riding instructor, and overall, I just love my job too much to leave it. However, because of these perks, my pay isn't that great, and for how much my parents were asking for rent, I'd have to get a second job or quit to find one that pays enough. So I found myself living with Jess and Jake. Jake works from home, so unless he's taking Jess out or at the gym, he's usually at home. He makes enough money doing whatever it is he does. I have no idea what he actually does, but Jess told me it's his family's company, so that explains it, I guess. Recently they came to me and told me they were expecting. Obviously, I was very excited for them, but my sister has had a few miscarriages in the past, so we needed to be extra careful with her. This has turned out to be a very complicated pregnancy, even in these early stages, so it's very high risk. Hopefully this gives you a clear idea of what's going on. My parents had an old car that I was allowed to drive to work and school, but after they kicked me out, I could no longer use it. This was a bummer, because I always liked the sense of freedom that having a car gave me, but whatever, I'll get over it. Jake insisted that he would start taking me to school in the morning, and then driving me to and from work. I was extremely grateful for this, because I didn't have to take the bus or walk. So, after Jake finished his daily routine at the gym, he'd head home, shower, get me Starbucks, and drop me off at school. Then, in the afternoon, he'd pick me up from school and drive me to work. At the end of my shift, he was usually waiting outside or on his way, so it was really a great help, and I was so thankful that he'd take so much time out of his day to help me. In the car, we'd end up talking and having conversations, whether it was about Jess or the plans for the baby. But he'd always ask me if I was dating someone or had a crush on anyone. He'd wink and say things like, "You're so beautiful. It's not possible there's nothing going on. Come on, you can tell me. I can keep a secret." I mean, there was a guy, I'll give him that, but it was too early to talk about, which meant I ended up being vague because I didn't want to lie to him. I basically just played coy and didn't answer any of his questions with too specific of an answer because I didn't feel like jinxing myself. Eventually, Alex, 19 million, the guy I was talking to, asked me on a date. His family owned the ranch where I worked, so we ended up spending a lot of time together during my shifts. Usually, he'd come and help me out, or we'd go riding together. I was really excited, and on the way home after my shift, I ended up telling Jake. He immediately went cold. I don't know how else to explain it, but there was no longer that familial warmth. He started asking a lot of questions very matter-of-factly, and I answered because I figured it was just the protective older sibling thing, and that it might take some time for him to get used to it. But then, when I told him that we'd been talking for a month or so, he freaked out and got really angry. I ended up crying when he started calling me a liar and saying that I'd been trying to hide this from him. The one thing that's stayed on my mind since is that he literally said, "What about us?" which has left me so confused, because what does he even mean? The worst part is that now, because of how he acted, I'm overthinking a lot of what has happened since I came to live with them. There's a pool in the backyard of Jake's house, and sometimes I'd go out there to swim or just lie out and tan. However, I've now come to realize that anytime I went out for a swim or tried to sunbathe, Jake would make an excuse to come and do something outside, whether he'd start up the grill or mow the lawn. I'd get that feeling that I was being watched, but a few times he just started swimming with me. I figured he was just trying to work out like me. After I'd get out of the pool, I'd go to take a shower. In the hallway, Jake and Jess have their own bathroom connected to the master bedroom. After I'm done with my shower, I'd go to my room and get changed and sleep. Sometimes though, in that short distance between the hallway and my room, when I'm wearing nothing but a towel, Jake would be waiting for me and say, "Good night," which I'd say back to him. But now I'm wondering if there was another reason for that. I don't want to bring these concerns up to my sister because of how fragile she's been recently. This pregnancy is really hitting her hard, and I just don't want to say anything because it could end up hurting her or the baby. I just need an answer as to whether or not I'm overthinking. More info. I really didn't even consider the fact that my sister could take his side over mine, but after everything I've read in the comments, it makes me think I should start collecting evidence. Also, I will definitely try my best to switch the dynamic between him and me without raising red flags. I'm more than willing to tell my sister if I feel like there's any immediate danger, but as I said before, I don't think he's the type of person. I'd rather wait until she's healthier to try and relay this news, just to be on the safe side, considering my sister could seriously get hurt. Not just from the emotional damage, but also the risk to her pregnancy. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it was really scary seeing the way he flew off the handle like that. I truly believe he's probably just been under way too much stress. My sister's pregnancy is high risk, and he's had to take care of her much more than usual. He's probably just worried something might happen to her. However, even if I do give him the benefit of the doubt, I should establish some boundaries. When he had that blow up, it really unnerved me, and I didn't feel safe. I know I'd never be able to overpower him, so I'm going to ask a few of my friends if they'd be willing to carpool with me. I'll also reach out to Alex to see if he can give me a ride to work. Worst comes to worst, I'll just find a job I can walk to. In the meantime, I'll definitely try to emphasize the brotherly relationship I feel with him. I'm going to stay pleasant because I don't feel the need to be hostile and create an aggressive environment. Other than that, I'll be taking steps to change my situation. Hello everyone. To keep this video going, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and helps us continue bringing you great stories. So, if you enjoy our content, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support makes a huge difference. Alright, let's keep going. Update. Is my sister's husband acting weird, or am I overthinking? First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who left a comment on my last post offering advice. Last night, after reading all the comments, I realized I'm no longer safe in this situation and will be making changes from this day forward. As much as I respect and love Jake, I don't think the risk is worth it. I did try to initiate a conversation with him after I posted and got some advice just to see if we might be able to talk things out, but he was still in a bad mood, so I just went to my room. In the middle of the night, I felt like I really needed to get out of the house. I started feeling so trapped, so I decided to take a walk to my smoke spot to clear my head. I wasn't even there 15 minutes before I got a text from Jake asking, "Where are you?" Then my phone started blowing up. He was calling and calling and calling. I can't even describe the fear that went through me. All I wanted was to be left alone. Eventually, I picked up the phone, which led to a flurry of insults being thrown my way. Apparently, I'm an effing princess who always gets her way, and deserve to be treated like the expletive I am. Then he told me to send him my location, which absolutely was not happening. I told him to take a breather and think about what he just said to me. I ended up calling Alex afterward, who thankfully picked up. I explained everything to him, though I'm not sure how much he understood, considering I was literally shaking and crying so violently. He ended up driving over to my spot and asked a few more questions about the situation while trying to calm me down. Eventually, I was able to relax and told him everything again with a clearer head. Throughout all of this, my phone had been ringing off the hook. Assuming it was Jake, I just let it keep going. Eventually, I saw that it was my sister's phone calling me. Despite knowing there was a good chance it was Jake on the other end, I still picked up. It was indeed Jake, who unleashed another flurry of insults at me, loud enough for Alex to hear. Alex took the phone from my hand, told Jake to shut the expletive up, and that I was safe. Then he hung up. Afterward, Alex told me everything was going to be okay, and not to worry about it. He ended up driving me all the way to his family's ranch and told his parents about what happened and my current situation. I'm really grateful they decided to take me in and let me stay in one of their extra rooms in exchange for helping out around the farm. After that, I just kind of cuddled with Alex and tried my best to fall asleep. I ended up not going to school today because I'm just trying to take a breather. However, after Jake's reaction and the comments getting to my head, I seriously began to worry for my sister. I ended up calling her, and thankfully, she was the one who picked up. It was obvious she had been crying. She asked me if I was safe and if I was okay. Jess told me that the night before, she had woken up to Jake's yelling, and it really startled her, so she pretended to still be asleep. She heard him come back into their room and take her phone off the charger. Then she heard more yelling and the front door slamming. Apparently, Jake had gone to look for me and kept my sister's phone with him. She told me she had no idea what to do, but was scared he was going to genuinely hurt me. After about an hour, Jake came back home, but he was clearly still in a bad mood. When she asked where he was and what happened, he ended up blowing up at her too for questioning him. She said she'd never seen him this angry before. He was literally wrecking furniture. After a few minutes of this, he got back into the car and left, but thankfully left her phone on the counter. She looked at the call logs and saw all the calls to me while Jake was gone. She ended up calling a friend to pick her up, and then tried reaching out to me. At that point, I was sleeping, but she told me she was scared he had found me. She said she was really sorry for not being able to protect me herself, and for failing to see that this was happening. Jess asked me why I didn't tell her about any of his behavior, but I told her I didn't want to stress her out with the pregnancy. We both had a long cry. Apparently, my parents are allowing her to move back in rent-free because they want to help raise their grandbaby. If this had been an option in the first place, none of this would have happened. But I digress. My sister and I ended up going out for dinner, where I showed her my post. We cried again. She told me she'd never been scared of him before, but after seeing his anger the night before, she was shaken. Both of us still need to get our stuff, but we're going to reach out eventually and set a date to move everything out. My dad and Alex will both be there just in case Jake tries to pull anything. According to my sister, Jake has tried to reach out and apologize so many times. He claims he was just worried for my safety and that I shouldn't be out at night. He had no idea she could hear exactly what he was yelling at me, so she knew for a fact he was lying. Jess let him know she'd be filing for divorce and then hung up. I love my sister and wish her nothing but the best in life. I know she'll recover from this and find an amazing man who loves her and only her. In other news, Alex and I are going on a date next week, so I'm pretty happy about that. But genuinely, thank you to the Reddit commenters for stressing me out so badly that I just needed to go on a smoke break. I think you may have saved me. I don't know what would have happened had I been in my room that night, but I'm grateful I didn't have to find out.